Hello and welcome to another edition of Issues with Jide. Here we'll talk about actions and inactions of those who shape our political, national landscape and how these impact us positively or otherwise. I'm Ibrahim Shita. Today on the show, Supreme Court's coup against Nigerian governors. Also on Euro 2024, all conquering Spain ready for England. In the course of the program, we take your questions, but first subscribe to our YouTube channel and drop your questions in the comment section. It's important to mention that we can only read comments with human names and the ones based on the subject matter. I have joining me via Zoom, Babajide, Kolade-Otitoju. It's good to see you once again, BKO, this evening.
Good to see you and good to do this with you. A very warm evening to our esteemed viewers.
Right, let's get right into it. The Supreme Court actually made everyone, maybe virtually everyone happy and some maybe sad, because if you talk about in the matters of governance and development, the local council or local government is the place where the rubber meets the road, and a lot is expected from that tier of government. But first, let's talk to us about the Supreme Court's ruling on the local government autonomy delivered on Thursday. What's your impression?
You know, the local government autonomy had been affirmed by the Constitution. What the Supreme Court has merely done is to validate it. You know, I've seen headlines saying Supreme Court gives autonomy to local councils and all that. What the Supreme Court has done is to validate the autonomy that was there. Now, the Supreme Court also went a step further by trying to clip the wings of governors, by trying to do something about the excesses of Nigeria's power-hungry governors. Nigerian governors come into office, new governors come into office, the first thing they think of doing is to remove an elected local government chairman, and they will put in their place caretaker chairman. Governor Makinde of Oyo State did this. The case went all the way to the Supreme Court, and he was ordered to pay the salaries of the local government chairman that he removed. Now, why do we have a situation in which governors simply would rather not conduct elections, but we want to put their loyalists in charge of the councils? This is unconstitutional, this is illegal, this is irresponsible. The Supreme Court has only now affirmed that the Accountant General should only release money to local governments with elected chairmen in place. So if a state governor decides not to conduct local government elections, decides not to have local government elections conducted, funds meant for local councils in the state will not be released. Funds meant for local governments would only be released to elected council chairmen. And this is the reason a good number of us are happy. I can understand some are not happy. I read the comment of the Oyo State governor where he was saying that the judgment is a distraction. Whether it's a distraction or not, we are happy about it. We are happy about it. The Oyo State governor is drawing attention to the fact that, that will not put an end to the problems of Nigeria, that the problem is that we are not producing enough. Why do we as a country always limit everything that we are talking about to food? You hear people say, oh, how would that bring food to the table? How would that? I mean, it's nonsensical to think that we must always talk about food consumption, about everything. We bring it into literally everything. And that's what the governor has done. That, oh, the problem is that we are not producing enough. That is a different matter. The highest court in the land has given a judgment, which many people have held. You don't then come and tell us that that judgment is a distraction. It's a very good distraction for us. If this kind of distractions will come our way every day, we'll be happy to be distracted. That's my message to Governor Seyi Makinde. Whatever would take away the extreme powers of Nigerian governors, whatever will reduce their extreme powers, is something that I will celebrate all day long, because they abuse their powers. And it's evident, we can see all of these things happening. Why many people see this as a coup against the governors is because, yes, Section 262 of the Section 162 of the Constitution states that, let me quote Section 162 subsection 3. It says, any amount standing to the credit of the Federation account shall be distributed among the federal and the local government councils among the federal and the state and the local government councils in each state, in such terms and in such manner as may be prescribed by the National Assembly. Section 6, subsection 6 of that section 162 then says, each state shall maintain a special account to be called State Joint Local Government Account, into which shall be paid all allocations to the local government councils of the state from the Federation account and from the government of the state. So it is true that the Constitution created a joint account to be managed by the state and local governments, which means once the allocation is sent, it is sent to the state. It goes into that joint account, after which it will now be shared between the state government and the local councils. But what the Supreme Court, in its landmark judgment, read by Justice Emmanuel Agim, a one-time Chief Judge of the Gambia, what that judgment has done is to simply delete Section 162 subsection and its subsections, which created the idea of the joint account. So based on the judgment of the Supreme Court now, that joint account no longer exists. Local governments will be paid directly by the Accountant General of the Federation from the Federation account. So we didn't need the National Assembly to delete that portion of the Constitution. The highest court in our land simply deleted that portion by its landmark judgment without a recourse to the National Assembly. And of course, the Supreme Court is a court of not just record, but of policy, which means that its pronouncements become law. It becomes precedent. It becomes what lawyers can cite.
That's right.
That is what we have seen. So that portion now, based on this judgment of the Supreme Court, that portion of the Constitution that talks about a joint account that shall be run between the state and the local government stands deleted. It has become illegal. It no longer exists. That is the implication of the judgment of the Supreme Court. And that is why many governors are not happy. The governor of Adamawa State is going back to the Supreme Court. He wants the Supreme Court to interpret Section 162 of the Constitution, which talks about the need for the state and local government to have a joint account where the money from the Federation account goes to. But of course, I can predict what will happen. Just give me a minute. I can predict what will happen. The governor of Adamawa State is wasting his time. because the Supreme Court's decision is very explicit. It was delivered in good language, the language that we all understand. So the Supreme Court has not gone beyond its powers because it is a court of record as well as a court of policy. So
Policy.
now that represents policy in this case.
Yeah.
The decision that it has made that the joint account is no longer going to be used.
That's right. So in the light of that, BKO, not only Governor Sheyi Makinde and the other governor that you mentioned, also former governor of Delta State, James Ibori, said that the Supreme Court judgment that granted full autonomy to local governments dealt a severe setback on the principles of the of federalism. The section of the Constitution that you quoted, 162 subsection 3. He now argued that if the federal government is allowed to directly control local government funds, it may exploit this power to exert political pressure and manipulate local governments. How plausible is his divergent view?
He anchored his whole argument on the same section that I talked about, section 162. Everything that I was talking about, he was hammering on section 162. Because yes, the Constitution prescribes that there shall be a joint account run by state and local governments in a state. But if something is being abused, we all know that it is a meeting of unequal partners. Governors have been fiddling with the funds of local governments for years, and we've not been able to find a way to deal with the problem. So the Supreme Court simply dealt with this problem by rendering the the joint account illegal. So I can understand that because there is that portion of the Constitution that James Ibori believes that, oh, this is an assault on the Constitution. He calls it an assault on the Constitution. He describes it as fiddling with the Constitution. And he's saying that, yes, while he does not support tampering with local government funds, what has happened amounts to fiddling with the Constitution, amounts to an assault on the Constitution. I do not see it that way. We are not slaves to our laws. If there is a law, why do we constantly even tinker with the law? Why do we amend the Constitution? Why do we review the Constitution? It is because the Constitution was prepared and delivered to us in a hurry in the late 90s. Now we are seeing some portions of the Constitution that need to be reviewed. We've been talking about reviewing the Constitution, amending the Constitution. It has a lot of lacunas. And in this case, the Supreme Court has merely helped us to deal with an existential problem. Governors presiding over the finances of local governments, determining what a local government gets. And where you are, the governor is not happy with you, it punishes you with the funds that naturally belong to you, that should come to you. So another thing that the Supreme Court affirmed is that you cannot sack, governors have no power to sack an elected local government chairman. You have no such powers. And they've been doing it for ages and getting away with it. So I'm not surprised that many people are happy. Afenifere called this, how did they even describe it? They described it as a grand conspiracy by Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu on true federalism in our country. And I'm like, how can this be? Yes, let me see exactly what they said. That the judgment of the Supreme Court is Tinubu's grand conspiracy against democracy and true federalism in Nigeria. How can you describe that as Tinubu's assault or Tinubu's conspiracy, the grand conspiracy against true federalism? Can we even have a one-man conspiracy. Because sometimes when these people use English, they use the language flippantly. Yes, English is a borrowed language, but we have an obligation to use English words the right way. Can one man constitute a conspiracy? One man cannot constitute a conspiracy, except if conspiracy has a different meaning. But I won't let Afenifere distract me. But we have sitting governors like the governor of Anambra, the governor of Cross River. They've come out to say, look, this is a good judgment, and that they stand by it. The governor of Anambra said the judgment is great and it is final. So while we have some people who are naturally not going to be happy with this, because you've taken away their feeding bottle, of course, many Nigerians see this as an opportunity to bring governance down to the grassroots. And it affirmed the right of the local government to receive their monthly allocations directly from the federation account. That is what the judgment says. So,
that's right.
And the Supreme Court affirmed that the power of government is divided into three arms, namely the federal, state, and local governments. So states, local governments will only be recognized if they have a democratically elected local government chairman in place. So for me,
That's right.
it's the effective consolidation of democratic federalism in our country. And I believe that local governments are big strongholds for true development and service delivery in a political environment. So I'm happy with what has happened. And I don't know about other people, but for me, I'm happy. I've always talked about the excesses of governors.
That's right.
You can imagine there was a state in the Northwest where they organized local government election. Because PDP won the election in that local government, the governor put a caretaker chairman in place. You allow democratically elected chairmen to exist in other local governments. But because you didn't like the person who won the election in a particular local government, you then decided to put a caretaker chairman there, whereas others enjoyed the benefit of winning election. So is it right? Are we to continue along that line? So the Supreme Court has simply led the way and showed us that, look, it is better for
Absolutely.
us to have decentralization of power. It's a kind of bottom-up approach to governance, to have local government chairmen have access to sufficient funds to run their councils, to strengthen democratic principles at the lowest level, and to bring development as close as possible to our people.
All right, BKO. Because of our time.
Somebody gave an example, Ibrahim, that the Jackson Airport in Atlanta, USA, one of the most profitable airports in the world, one of the busiest in the world, is actually run by the city of Atlanta, not by the central government of the US. When are we going to get to that point, Ibrahim, when local governments can do big projects?
That's right.
From the funds accruing to them, big projects.
That's right.
Where they can set up universities of their own. Big projects that can generate employment,
Absolutely.
We have to get to that level.
Absolutely.
I believe it's possible.
It is. It is possible. Let me take one or two comments and then ask him a final question on this particular topic. Daniel Oludikpe says, a big plus for back-led federal government. However, the positive effect may not be felt by Nigerians at the grassroots until INEC starts conducting local government election. Presently, governors still fiddle with local government fund. Banji Okesoto says governance in Nigeria is becoming more participatory and inclusive in Nigeria with the judgment. Nelson Adufe says state governments should be concerned with their purviews and there should be no duplication of power, either by authority or finance, between the state and local government. I applaud President Tinubu. Mitun Songa said, Babajide, with the welcome development of the financial autonomy of these local governments, are you not concerned about the accountability of these funds at the local level, such as looting and embezzlement? And that actually speaks directly to my final question to you on this. The first is the one on CIEC, where I guess the Attorney General of the Federation actually raised concern about that maybe INEC should be conducting the election. And then the other one is the Nigerian Union of Local Government Employees also saying, an association of local governments of Nigeria urging the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit to track council funds and prevent their diversion to state governors by council chairmen. So how can we ensure transparency and accountability in the local government administrations?
There is genuine concern, honestly, because corruption works on four legs in our country, and corruption is definitely not limited to sitting governors. Local government chairmen are involved. There are fears that governors will continue to install their favored individuals as local government chairmen so that they can have access to those funds. Those funds are used to conduct elections. Those funds are used to line the pockets of people in power. Local government chairmen bribe party leaders so that they can give them support at every turn. Like when a local government chairman wants to return to office, he doesn't waste time. He knows what to do. He bribes the party leaders. They will give him all the support that he needs to come back for a second time. And people have just come to these funds are meant to be frittered, meant to be shared between party leaders. So I believe that we need serious vigilance. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu too has said that chairmen at this time do not have any excuse. They must perform. But we have to monitor them. What are the NGOs doing? This is the job of NGOs. The job of NGOs is to help us deepen transparency at every level of governance. Their job is not simply to be organizing paid protests all over the place. You see a group that calls itself a non-governmental organization, they will be going to do protests in favor of an individual who is embattled or an individual about to lose his job. You know, that's not what they are about. They are supposed to be seen working to make transparency a way of life at all levels in our country. That's what they should be doing. So I will expect that, yes, in the aftermath of this judgment, monies accruing to local governments will be tracked and its disbursement will be monitored so that we can ensure that this victory that we got at the Supreme Court is not a Pyrrhic one, because it will be shameful if all of this amounts to nothing at the end of the day. And if we do not monitor these politicians very well, honestly, we could be back to square one. I have that fear myself. I have it.
Absolutely. Interesting stuff, Mikhail. But because of our time, we need to just quickly race to our very last issue for today on the program. Let's talk about Euro 2024. Now, tomorrow is going to be a big day. So with the all-concurrent Spain getting to clash with England, how do you think Spain's high pressing strategy will impact England's ability to build attacks from the back? And what adjustments do you think England's defenders might need to make to overcome this pressure?
Football luck is very, very important in football. If anyone told me that, if anyone told me that England will be playing the final of this Euro Championships, I would have argued. Their preparation, the results that they got in the weeks leading to the tournament were not impressive. At the group stage, they were not impressive. They managed to qualify. But look at them today. England's progress in the tournament is proof that you don't always need to play well to win a game of football. And if what we don't know is whether England's luck will run out on Sunday, because they've been very lucky. Even the penalty that they got against Netherlands was a soft one. Many referees will not give that as a penalty, you know. But that is football. What we can't take away is that both Spain and England at this point rely on the next generation of players, young players like Lamine Yamal of Spain, Nico Williams of Spain. These are very, very effective wingers. And interestingly, England too relies so much on wing play because his strength is not really in his midfield, but it has effective wingers who also have playmaking abilities or playmaking capabilities. Players like Saka, for example, on the right, Phil Foden, or Cole Palmer, if the coach decides to bring in Cole Palmer. Cole Palmer is the best penalty taker in England. He's the only player in the English team who has a 100% record in converting penalties. He is also very good at creating. He's ready to take risks. He's young. He takes risks. And the goal that Oli Watkins scored was from a pass by Cole Palmer. So when you look at both teams again, they also have strength in depth. When they bring in players, those players find a way to change the game. Ivan Toney for England, and we saw how he changed the game. Cole Palmer, every time he comes in, he tries to make things happen. So in a game full of young, enterprising players, we are going to see a lot of energy on display. I have some fears for England because they've been really stretched. They've been really stretched. Playing more than the regulation time in some of their games must have weakened the players who have had a long season. But when you look at the midfield, where I believe that the battle will be fought and won, Spain has an edge. Despite the injury to Pedri, Rodri is still at the base of the Spanish midfield. He has both defensive skills and playmaking skills. On his part, Declan Rice of Arsenal offers energy as well as playmaking ability. And beside him is Kobe Mino, the young superstar of England, who has shown that, look, experience does not really matter if you have got the flair that he's got and the drive and energy. So it's going to be a tough battle in midfield with Rodri and Kobe Mino clash during the FA Cup final. And Kobe Mino dominated the midfield against Rodri. Eventually, Manchester United won that match, and Kobe Mino was clearly the man of the match. He is going to face Rodri again in tomorrow's final. Who knows what will happen this time around? Maybe Rodri will have the edge because he has some very good players around him. the energy of the Spaniards, their ability to dribble, who are confident that this is Spain's year, and Spain is determined to win this trophy, because if they win it this fourth time, that will make them the best team in the history of European Championships, because they won it in 1964, won it in 2008, won it in 2012. So they are chasing this because they are currently tied with Germany. So if they win this fourth one, then they will be the best national team, the best European national team. So that is what they are chasing. For England, they've not won a major soccer trophy since 58 years ago. That was in 1966. And this is the first time that England will be entering the final of a major tournament on foreign soil. So maybe the slogan will bring the cup home. Bring the cup home. The cup is coming home. Or maybe
coming home,
this is going to be put to reality, because the game was invented in England, but since 1966 they've not won a World Cup. They've not won a major tournament. So 58 years down the line, they are chasing this. They believe that this is their year. But if the match drags into penalties, I can predict that England will carry the day. They have much better players at playing penalties, experienced players, calmer players than the Spaniards. But I cannot say at this stage that the game will go into penalties. So we'll wait and see whether the likes of Bellingham, Declan Rice, Kobe Mino will come to the party against a very, very talented Spanish national team. The Spaniards do not have pace in their defense, especially their central defense. But they have Carvajal of Real Madrid, who in my view is the best right fullback in the world, and is on top of his game, along with Cucurella of Chelsea, who is the left-sided defender. So, I mean, this is a game that I'm eager to watch, because I know that there will be so much on offer. And don't forget, Spain is the only team to have won all its games in the tournament. They've not even drawn a single game. So if you want to bet on a team, it could be Spain. It should be Spain that you bet on, because they have everything going for them. They have everything. They have the energy, the high press, the counter press, the intensity is just there because they have age on their side.
That's right. That's right. So if you look at Harry Kane and Dani Olmo, they're both vying for the Golden Boot. How do you think their individual battles would impact the team's overall strategy? And what do you think, or who do you think will come out, on top?
The problem for Harry Kane is he doesn't have pace. Harry Kane is more or less like a false nine. It's more or less like a false nine, and that is why he has good playmaking abilities. That's why he usually produces a lot of assists. He's actually playing like a false nine, which is a striker with playmaking ability. He doesn't have that pace to trouble the Spanish central defenders. Perhaps just the same way he brought in Oli Watkins of Aston Villa or Ivan Toney, the English coach may want to bring in strikers who can really cause problems. And Oli Watkins, on his part, has shown that he has pace and he has finishing ability. Not many people can score that winning goal that is called, and in the words of Peter Drury, bang on 90 minutes. Not many strikers can score that goal. He showed that he understands the goal area sufficiently. He just turned and lashed the ball and he hit the net at a very critical time. They scored that goal when it was literally impossible for Netherlands to mount a fight back. So I don't think that Harry Kane has not had a particularly great tournament. He has been scoring some goals here and there, no, but I don't think he has uh, had a terrific tournament.
Mm. So in the final analysis, you're putting your money on Spain.
Except Spain has a bad day. Except Spain has a bad day. I don't see how England can stop Spain. Except Spain has a bad day, and it happens in football. So football sometimes we just have to give room for miracles or the unusual to happen.
That's right.
But if they maintain their consistency and their high intensity game,
Mm.
I don't see how England, because they will crowd England in midfield, they will try to dictate play, and they are very persistent and are very good at running at defenders.
Interesting.
Defenders
Well,
don't like attackers who constantly run at them, and that is what Williams does. He's so confident in his dribbling ability that he will keep running at defenders, and they interchange effectively himself and Lamine Yamal.
mm.
So England will really find these boys a handful.
We'll
But
see what
again,
happens.
don't write off England. On current form, you want to bank on Spain. But this is football.
That's right.
Sometimes the better team, the teams that create the most chances, the team that deserve to win doesn't always win. Portugal outplayed France, created more chances, had the better chances,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, Portugal was eliminated.
Hmm.
You know, via the penalty shootout. At a time when we felt that their goalkeeper, having successfully stopped the three penalties in the previous game, will again become the hero. But this time around, he didn't get his hand on a single penalty from France, and they were eliminated. So football
Well,
can happen to anyone. And when football happens to you, you lose a game.
in just less than 24 hours, then we'll be in Sunday, and then we'll see what happens at the end of the day. So we'll come back, hopefully, maybe or journalist hangout or on issues with Jide to review whatever transpired or transpires in the on the page. And that's our show for
Let's
today's
just go and
edition.
enjoy ourselves.
Abi. And that's our show for today's edition of Issues with Jide. Special thanks to you, Babajide, Kolade-Otitoju, for those insightful analyses. All round, well-rounded Babajide-Otitoju. Oh, sorry, before we go,
Thank you,
there
Brian.
is a promise, Emmanuel, from UAE saying, Babajide, please, I have gifts for you from the United Arab Emirates. Please, how can I get your WhatsApp number? Please, you're always speaking the truth, no matter what.
Ibrahim, I give you the mandate to give him.
Okay, okay. All right. So, Promise Emmanuel, if you're still watching, just reach out to me on either Twitter or Facebook, Ibrahim Shita, or for Twitter, it's Ibrahim underscore Shita. Ibrahim spelled IBRAHEEM underscore SHITTA. IBRAHEEM underscore SHITTA. Across all platforms, maybe on Instagram, Facebook, etc. BKO, thank you very much for those beautiful
Thank you,
analyses
Ibrahim.
today.
Thank you.
And thanks to you too, our audience, for keeping our company on every edition. You can see the program again anytime by subscribing to our YouTube channel, TVC News Nigeria. Click on the subscribe button to get the latest information. You can also follow us on our social media platforms at TVC News NG. I'm also at Ibrahim_Shita. On behalf of the rest of the team, I'm Ibrahim Shita. See you again next edition. Bye for now.